Hey guys and girls, welcome back to another video. In this one we are talking about FF7 Intergrade. Now, this is essentially a PS5 port of the game, but on top of that we are also getting a Yuffie DLC, which isn't included in Intergrade, which I think you also have to buy that DLC separately, so you don't just get the Yuffie DLC for free, sadly. But we also have to talk about FF7 Ever Crisis, which I feel sad about that. And then the Battle Royale, then we're talking about For Soldier, the Square Enix mobile game Battle Royale. It's funny because I was initially going to explain Final Fantasy VII, the original story, as a Battle Royale when I was making my review for Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I still haven't made, and I kind of put it off when I realized, oh, the Battle Royale theme probably wouldn't work, but I give Square props, they somehow made it work, so yeah. So firstly, let's talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS5. Now, Final Fantasy VII Remake was definitely really good for the PS4, but you could tell it definitely came out at the tail end of the generation for the PS4, which, yeah, those textures not holding up. So I'm very pleased that they're actually using the high-res assets that they had that they couldn't use on the PS4 because of the limitations. Now, to give you a perspective of what the PS4 uses is a AMD mobile CPU that was made in 2013. Now, you might hear AMD nowadays and be like, yo, AMD is poppin', right? No, not back then. Their desktop CPU was even worse. Now, if you wanted a space heater, your best bet was to buy an FX CPU, which I did actually, when I started this channel, it's actually one of the main things that I had was an FX CPU. It was like an 8-core CPU from what I recall. I don't remember the exact naming of it, but I know it's an FX 8-core or whatever, and that thing would not run Premiere well, and it would constantly crash. So, and this thing was not overclocked, which I know I could have overclocked it, but I wasn't screwing with it with how old it was, so you know, your boy suffered for a bit, and then he made up when he got a Ryzen 7 3700, so yeah, the difference is uncomparable. So in saying that, I'm quite hyped to see this game and its and the textures that it was meant to be seen in, because at some points you're just playing the game and you're like, wow, this game looks really good. Wow, this looks like a PS2 texture. Wow, is that a reference to the PS1 game? Huh. But deadass, like, I think on stream I was like looking down, I'm like, is that a reference to the PS1 game? Like, I was deadass like, bruh, something's not right here. And then when I progressed through the game, I'm like, damn, these backgrounds, what did they do? But, and in saying that, knowing what Final Fantasy VII Remake ran on, I'm just happy that the game came out in a non-broken state. It was no Cyberpunk, but it definitely was a lot better than Cyberpunk, but it, like, the textures sometimes would not load and you just got confused. But it is still a amazing looking game for the PS4 generation. Still, this PS5 port's gonna knock it right out of the park. You might think I'm overhyping this, but I ain't. You see the trailer, I ain't overhyping it. It's definitely gonna be looking great. And I also think it's due in part to the dynamic resolution method that they used, because definitely really buggy, but now since they actually have a big Ryzen CPU with a GPU that's like capable of handling this stuff, I think we're gonna be okay. Which reminds me, we're going to be seeing Tifa's. Wait, maybe I shouldn't say this. I might get demonetized. Oh yeah, this channel makes no money, so you know what? We're going to be seeing Tifa's boobs in 4K 60 FPS. Actually, I am a man of class. Aerith with a chair in 4K 60 frames per second Ultra HD. Joking aside, the textures along with the 60 FPS is going to absolutely look phenomenal. If you don't think 60 FPS is going to make a difference from what it originally ran on 30 FPS, you were sadly mistaken. I'm all about FPS ever since I got a 144Hz monitor. So let me tell ya, buckaroo, it makes a damn difference. Honestly, if you've emulated Persona 5 and modded Persona 5 on or PCS3 and ran that shit in 60 FPS, you can already tell the menus are snappy, or even played Persona 4 Golden in 60 FPS compared to the Vita counterpart. Bro, 60 FPS makes stuff snappy, and that's what I love, snappiness. So 30 FPS can just go away. We just need to aim for 60, and then eventually go to 120 FPS. Not that I have a problem with games that run in 30 FPS, I just have a hard time converting back to it. Like, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts in 60 FPS for quite a while now, and trying to go back to the PS3 ports is hard. Trying to play the game in the PS2 form is kind of hard. I mean, I played on my PS3 that's backwards compatible, and it just looks dated trying to play it on there, which, I mean, I could emulate it, and I've been really tempted to play the rando mods for Kingdom Hearts 2 FM, but again, that 30 FPS just kinda gets me when I've been so used to a 60 FPS experience. But in saying that, that will soon change with the PC ports, as long as they're functional. But genuinely, I'm just really hyped to see, like, this combat be more responsive. Like, I had my troubles playing the game in general with the FPS kind of differenting. Like, it doesn't really like hitch at all. It usually stays at a stable 30 FPS until you get to like the final part of the game, where it does start to hit its like peak, where it's like it's kind of dipping, but it's kind of staying stable. It's kind of rough to tell. Like, it doesn't dip to the point where it's unplayable, just like a lot of stuff's going on in that end game part, which I hopefully am not spoiling. But yeah, I'm just really hyped that there's gonna be like no FPS dips. It's just gonna be a stable 60, at least as far as I'm aware. So then, let's talk about it. The Yuffie DLC. The Yuffie DLC seems really interesting. If you've seen that trailer, what the hell's Nomura doing? Like, I did not expect going to that trailer that it was going to be even Yuffie. I just thought, like, there's gonna be a new experience, but once I seen that disguise, I just knew, oh, this is, they're using her outfit from Drugs to Service. This can't mean anything later. Underground. And then you got this man that I still don't know his name, so I'm just not gonna bother doing any research. I'm just gonna jump into the remake and hopefully learn more about him. But I just know he's from Drugs to Service, and I played Drugs to Service, and I still don't remember anything that happens in Drugs to Service, so I'm just gonna keep it like that, because people really say that's a bad game. Which, I mean, it's a concept for a third-person shooter. It wasn't terrible when I played it as a kid, but when I play it now, it's probably going to be awful, since I've been playing a shit ton of FPSs and third-person shooters throughout my years, so I'm just not going to take the chance of replaying it right now. But I seriously hope that they, I guess, make it more comprehensible, because a lot of people, from what a lot of people say, is this story is just really uncomprehendable from when you would initially play it, so hopefully it's more comprehensible. So then the gameplay for this DLC just looks really dope. It looks really fun too, but it also has Kingdom Hearts 2 vibes written all over it. Now, I don't think it will be to that extent, but with how responsive these things look, like, it's looking like it. I don't know, I'm just really hyped to play as Yuffie. I'm just surprised to see Yuffie right now, and I'm surprised to see this underground stuff that Drugs of Service is involved in. I'm just... I think they're just overloading us so that we buy the DLC. So one thing that is kind of problematic is that this DLC is only available on the PS5. There seems to be no plans to put this on the PS4, which kinda stinks. Now, I can understand moving the hell away from the PS4's hardware, but I do find it kind of a loss in their front, because, like, you know how many PS4s actually sold? How many people actually have a PS4? How many people have a PS5 right now? So, I guess Square Enix is just making it like, yeah, buy a PS5, experience Final Fantasy VII Remake in a whole new, resolution. And then whole new FPS, and a whole new DLC, which, I mean, I can't argue with it, because the problem that's happening is, like, the PS5s are going, like for sale, and then the bots are just buying them up, and then you got scalpers reselling them for so much money. And that's what I find to be so discouraging from this port and this this whole DLC, is that not a lot of people are going to be playing it, and that's this huge bummer about it. And I seriously hope that PS5s become more readily available in the next 3 months, but we have a huge chip shortage in the market right now, and I do not see it like clearing up in the next 3 months. But I'm just really hyped to be able to, you know, get the DLC, be able to play it for myself, because I'm fortunate enough to actually be lucky enough to own one of these systems, which I really didn't think I was going to be. I thought my pre-order was going to get cancelled, but no, it came on release day, and I'm very thankful for that, with the hectic year that I had last year. So, Final Fantasy VII First Soldier. I thought this was not going to be a mobile game, but I kind of figured it was going to be just by the naming scheme, but it took me by surprise, because guess what it is? A Final Fantasy VII Remake Battle Royale. And do you know how much I love Battle Royales? Now, you know, Apex Legends seems to be fun and all, but this seems like a complete like, this will not do well. If you play Drugs of Service, you already know what you're getting yourself into with a third-person shooter from Square Enix. I mean, I know it's from back in the PS2 games, but, like, when I see Square Enix, I don't look at Square Enix as a shooter, you know, genre game company. I look at them as making cool, fascinating RPGs. This ain't it cheap. It just looks like they were like, yo, let's do a Final Fantasy Battle Royale and include story elements. And then here we are. A slapped on piece, lifeless piece of game that's probably not going to do so well. But I mean, I guess here we are. I'm not gonna play it, but hey, you can emulate Android onto it and, you know, get that higher FPS and, you know, own them noobs with the mouse and keyboard support. Why it's not mobile, I'll never understand, but yeah, that's a thing. If you wanna play it, there you go. There's also swords. Magic. So here we have Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which is essentially a remake of the entire timeline of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, which is ridiculous, a ridiculous thing. Like, they're recreating assets, they're recreating the original for a phone game, it seems, which kind of sucks. I'd like it on Switch and potentially, you know, PS5 or PS4 or you know, PC to, like, be able to just play these games in a better state than what the original Final Fantasy VII are released on. And I think this is a good idea, but, like, with other games like Crisis Core, Drugs of Service, I do find that to be weird that if they are recreating the games, like, in this form, that I don't know if I'd like it more or less. I think it's a very, very cool concept to also have that Final Fantasy 13 ATB system, because in general, I don't think it's a terrible system, but I also don't think it's a bad system either. It's okay. I have more fun with the action sort of combat going on, but this is fine for what it is and what it's doing, and I think with the amount of work that they're seemingly putting into this, I think that's dope. Just a lot better than their FF ports, more or less. Like, recreated as they definitely do look pretty well. Bit blurry from what I'm seeing, and it just could be just because it's not finished, and I hope they use a bit more higher res backgrounds, but other than that, that's my only complaint. But all my simping for Zack Fair to come back on the PS5 has now all been dwindled. Unless it, of course, does come to PS4/PS5, but still, man. I just wanted a Crisis Core remaster/remake, bro. Would have been so dope in HD, but we got this. I guess that's fine. Now, my only curious question, why do I call it a curious question? I don't know. So my curiosity is taking the better of me, and now I'm wondering, when will a PC port come of this game? We initially thought this was going to be announced in this trailer, which I don't think the State of Play would really allow that, or Sony for that matter. So I really think we will get one eventually, whether it's in a month or two, or close after the PS5 port is released, which would be really dope. My only prayer is that these Kingdom Hearts games actually release in the stable conditions, so that gives me a good taste in my mouth to actually play Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PC. But I don't think they're gonna do that with Square's track record, which really, really hurts me. With that being said though, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!